Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another reloading chat, and I feel like talking to you guys a little bit today about PewDiePie and the media. Now, normally, I don't follow certain types of YouTube channels. I don't care what they do. I have briefly looked at PewDiePie in the past simply because, all right, here's a guy who's the biggest guy on YouTube. He's got the most enormous following. What in the world is he doing? And I can't say I really fully understand his business model, but it's clearly worked for him. Now, that being said, the media has attacked this guy. And it's been interesting because I've seen several pieces on it talking about, look, YouTube stars need to understand that now they're becoming mainstream and that they can be held accountable for certain standards the rest of the media is held to and lose business deals because Disney cut his deals with him over jokes and stuff that he told. And you know what? I think this is the media itself not realizing what they are getting into. YouTubers held to the same standards. I'm sorry, guys. There's a lot of YouTubers and alternative media that are more popular than the mainstream media. And that's mainstream media saying things like that. No, not necessarily. Yeah, for business deals. But ultimately, truth be told, people like Alex Jones and Joe Rogan these days actually beat CNN and MSNBC. Let's just be honest. They have more viewers than most mainstream news channels do. Those guys do. Right? They have more regular listeners and viewers. CNN only has 1.5 million viewers. MSNBC is only estimated to have around 2 million viewers. You compare that with the top people on YouTube, they really don't have that much outreach anymore. YouTube and the internet has actually beaten mainstream media for actual outreach. They're actually the small fish now. And that's what people need to understand when they want to start attacking these superstars like PewDiePie. Let me just be blunt. I have enough sense to know that me saying anything bad about PewDiePie, that the ramifications against me would be enormous. He has 53 million followers. Do people have any clue what sort of storm they're creating for their business and everything else to piss off 53 million people, like followers who are online a lot? Their whole internet businesses. CNN could be shut down by that. Or who was it? I don't even remember which original news media covered it because so many picked it up after it. I can't even remember. It was like one of the business ones. It might have been the Wall Street Journal even. It was one of the business-related ones who first covered his stuff. And what did the guy actually do? He told some jokes. And this kind of goes over to what we need to think about as far as our society being sensitive little pussies about everything. All right, sensitive little pussies. I went to actually see what the guy had supposedly done. You know, he told a couple of minor jokes. And he went to check something to see if it was really true that Indian guys would hold signs up or whatever saying anything for $5. And he made what would be considered offensive statements. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. When we're talking about, at the end of the day, politically offensive or socially offensive statements, anyone who's sensitive about that stuff to the point to where they cry or get triggered or whatever bullshit it is, they need to just grow up and deal with the real world. Little things like that don't hurt. It's one thing if people are making direct attacks upon you personally, like in a serious way. All right, I get that. But minor jokes like that, and I'll state up front, everyone knows my stance on Israel. I am very, very pro-Israel. That my mother was religiously Jewish. So for me, you would think with me being pretty conservative, pro-Israel, Jewish mother, I'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. You know what? I don't really care. It actually isn't a big deal. And it's not a big deal in the sense that anyone with common sense knows that he wasn't actually even remotely serious. The guy has a kind of a weird sense of humor, but he's a prankster. He does comedy stuff, and he does really kind of over-the-top jokes for the most part. Kind of absurd jokes. And that's what he does. That's part of who he is. That's what he's branded himself upon. Let's just be honest. He's branded himself upon being a troll and a comedian and everything else. And when you look at that, even what he did there with the signs and everything, he wasn't doing that to make a political statement. He was just testing to see how far these guys would really go, what they would hold signs for $5. How far could he push it? And show that you can go pretty far just to get him to do something that most people would not do, at least not in other than in certain countries that maybe do want to kill all Jews. But yeah, that was the point. He had them hold signs that said something like "Kill all Jews," just to see if they would actually hold them for $5. Now, like I said earlier, would that be considered offensive? Yeah. Is it enough to make a big deal about when he wasn't actually serious? No, it really isn't. And this is people being, again, overly sensitive pussies. Overly sensitive pussies. And that's coming from someone who technically, if you want to follow what most people would consider to be extreme anti-Semitism and extermination of Jews, because my mother was religiously Jewish, I would probably be counted in that category of kill all Jews. You see me offended? I don't care. Why? Because I'm not an overly sensitive pussy. And it's the left that's guilty of that. The left are usually the worst about being overly sensitive pussies with all these social justice warriors. But at a certain point, people need to just step back, sack up, and quit being offended by every single little thing, guys. I mean, come on. Come on. And the reality is there are actually places in parts of the world where there are real signs held up calling for exterminations of different groups, everything from Death to America to kill this religious group, kill that group, being held up in signs with crowds cheering and saying it. And it's the real deal. When you have that stuff going on and it really is the real deal, people being upset over a joke instead of going and focusing up on all that stuff, that's really a problem. And you know what, again, these media outlets need to understand. All right, CNN, only 1.5 million viewers. Well, I mean, when you look at the nature of YouTube and the viewership that some of the people have out there, media is nothing now. They are literally nothing. And you have someone like Pewdiepie with over 50 million subscribers, many of whom with tech skills and hacking skills and everything. You really probably don't, as someone who does rely partially upon your internet business, you probably don't want to attack someone like that. You really don't. And here's the other big thing. This shows another side of things. He's got a very young viewership. The whole mainstream media jumped all over this, made a big deal about it. This is the same mainstream media that was caught lying about Donald Trump, about the election, who are being caught lying about Trump now, lying about other people, figures online, fake news, everything else. Fake news is really big right now. It's a big topic. So all these media outlets are then going to take someone like Pewdiepie, who is beloved by an enormous young audience. He has the biggest audience of anyone on earth. All right? He has the biggest audience of any human being on earth. Most of them are younger. So the media has attacked him and showed them that the media can't take basic jokes, that the media wants to, who's already being accused of all this fake news stuff, they're basically establishing in the minds of a lot of young people with some of this, that the media are the enemy. All right, that is what the media has established. And the media needs to understand, man, the whole media went against Donald Trump. The entire media went against Donald Trump. He had almost no mainstream media support. And they thought they had the whole show, but he still won the election. Despite all the election fraud, all the cheating, all the illegals voting, and I think that does account for millions of votes. Despite all of that, he still won. Donald Trump had the biggest following in alternative media. He had the biggest following on the internet out of anyone in that race. Anyone in that race, even before we got down to the final few, before the primaries were even fully decided, Donald Trump had the most support online and in the alternative media. The mainstream media no longer controls elections. And they need to understand that they are dying and they are killing themselves because they are going against what all the younger people on the internet and everyone are saying. Trump had an enormous support of young voters online. Enormous support. And it showed when he came time to be elected. The entire media was against him. The internet helped him. And they lied about it the entire time and thought he wasn't going to win and said he wasn't going to win and made up lies about him. Well, the internet won the election for the guy. And then they're going to do stuff like all these media outlets are going to attack. And then Disney's going to end a deal. Disney, all right, Disney needs business. It needs young viewers. You know, it's got all these Star Wars movies and everything it's trying to make money on right now. All right, they probably don't want to upset someone with that big of a young viewer base, and these mainstream media outlets don't either. They're again establishing a very negative thing in these young people's minds when they start attacking the person who has the biggest audience on the face of the earth right now. Not a wise business move, and certainly not wise in the long term, unless the media wants to establish further hatred from this next generation coming up and wants this next generation to ignore them, see them as the enemy, see them as liars, fake news, and who attack people that they like. That's what the mainstream media is now establishing itself as. And this was after the whole fiasco with Donald Trump. Attacking Pewdiepie was probably the stupidest thing the media could have done. They basically, that sort of stuff is going to be the nail in their coffin. You know what? I guess that's about time. The far left media needed a nail in their coffin. And this is the sort of stuff that's going to give it to them. Because they just don't seem to have any sense at all. Because they're all leftists, and leftists aren't known for their rational thought. Leftists, in my opinion and many others, is itself, being a far leftist, is a mental illness. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.